You've seen the face your cat makes at the window, body completely still, tail low, every muscle locked in place like something inside them has been switched on that you've never seen activated before. And then the sound, that strange, rapid, stuttering noise that doesn't sound like a meow, doesn't sound like a purr, doesn't sound like anything else your cat makes in any other situation. It only happens at the window. It only happens when there's a bird. Most people laugh at it, film it, post it somewhere because it looks ridiculous and endearing and slightly unhinged. And then they move on without ever asking what's actually happening inside their cat in that moment. What's happening is fascinating. And it tells you something about who your cat really is, underneath all the domestication, underneath the napping and the slow blinking, and the years of living in a warm house with reliable food. Let's talk about what that sound actually is. 1. That sound has a name, and it's older than your house, your city, and every cat that's ever lived in one. The sound is called chattering, sometimes chirping. Behaviorists have studied it, debated it, and still don't have a single agreed explanation for everything it means. But what they do agree on is this: it is an involuntary response. Your cat is not choosing to make that sound the way they choose to meow at you for breakfast. It erupts out of them. It's neurological. Something in their brain fires when they see prey they cannot reach, and that sound is what comes out. Think about what that means. Your cat, who has lived with you for years, who sleeps on your couch and waits by their bowl at the same time every evening, still has a part of their brain that is running ancient, unmodified predator software. And that software, when it detects a bird through a pane of glass, activates so completely that it produces a physical, audible response their conscious mind has no control over. That sound is not your cat being cute. That sound is your cat's nervous system doing something it was designed to do 10,000 years before either of you existed. 2. It might be mimicry, and what that tells you is extraordinary. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. One of the leading theories about why cats chatter at birds specifically is that they may be attempting to replicate the sounds of their prey, not to communicate with you, not out of frustration, but as a hunting technique. Researchers studying wild cats in Brazil documented something remarkable. They observed cats producing sounds that closely mimicked the calls of the animals they were hunting, apparently to lure them closer. The cat would hide, produce the sound, and wait for curiosity to do the rest. Your domestic cat, sitting in a centrally heated living room with a full bowl of food 15 feet away, may be running the same program. They see the bird, the hunting sequence activates, and part of that sequence, buried deep in the architecture of how they hunt, is the attempt to sound like something the bird would approach. It doesn't work through glass. They know, on some level, that it doesn't work through glass, but the behavior fires anyway because it's not a decision. It's a reflex that precedes conscious thought by a significant margin. Your cat is, in that moment, doing something their wild ancestors actually used to survive. The fact that it's happening in your living room in front of a closed window doesn't make it less real. It makes it one of the clearest windows you'll ever get into what your cat actually is. And if this is making you see your cat differently right now, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand what's really going on inside their cat every day. 3. The frustration theory, and why it's only part of the truth. The other explanation you'll hear most often is simpler. Frustration. Your cat sees prey they can't reach, and the sound is a release valve for the tension that builds in that gap between instinct and reality. There's evidence for this too. Cats who chatter at windows often show other signs of arousal at the same time. The tail movement, the dilated pupils, the skin that ripples slightly along their back. Their whole body is primed for something their environment won't let them complete. The sound, in this reading, is what happens when that energy has nowhere to go. Both things can be true at once. The mimicry and the frustration aren't competing explanations. They're two layers of the same moment. Your cat is attempting a hunting technique while simultaneously experiencing the tension of an incomplete hunt. The sound carries both. What matters is understanding that neither of these things is distress. Your cat is not suffering at the window. They are intensely, electrically alive at the window. There's a difference, and it's worth recognizing. 4. Why birds specifically and what your cat does with that information afterward. You may have noticed that your cat doesn't chatter at everything. A car moving past the window doesn't do it. A person walking by doesn't do it. But a bird landing on a branch, even briefly, even far away, triggers the whole sequence instantly. This is prey recognition, and it's extraordinarily specific. Cats are what biologists call obligate carnivores with a specialized predatory profile. In the wild, small birds and rodents make up a significant portion of their diet. Their visual system is specifically tuned to detect the movement patterns associated with these animals. The flicker of wings, the hop and pause of a bird on a branch, the specific arc of flight. When your cat sees that movement, something in their visual processing flags it immediately, before any conscious evaluation happens. The prey recognition system fires, and everything else follows. But here's the part most people don't think about. After the bird leaves, after the window is just a window again, and your cat has stepped down and returned to ordinary life, something lingers. They remember. They'll return to that same window at the same time tomorrow. They've logged the location, the time, the type of bird. They're building a map. Your cat is, quietly and without any fanfare, maintaining an active hunting knowledge base about your home's surroundings. That map gets updated every time they sit at a window. The chirping is just the most visible part of a much larger process that never actually stops. 5. What to do with this, and what it tells you about what your cat needs. Here's the practical part, and it matters. A cat who spends significant time chattering at windows is a cat with a hunting drive that is looking for an outlet. Not always. Some cats are simply window watchers who would never have been particularly active hunters regardless. But in many cats, the intensity of the window behavior is a signal about what they need more of in their daily life. The hunting sequence has specific stages: stalk, chase, pounce, catch, kill, eat. Most indoor cats get almost none of these stages completed in a given day. The food appears without hunting. The play, when it happens, rarely mimics the full sequence. The window watching is often the closest they get to the first stage, and they never get past it. A cat who doesn't get to complete that sequence regularly accumulates something: restlessness, a low-level tension that expresses itself in different ways depending on the cat. Midnight zoomies, redirected aggression, obsessive window watching that tips from engaged into something that looks more like anxiety. The fix is not complicated, but it requires consistency. Play that mimics real prey movement, a toy that darts and hides and freezes and runs. 10 minutes before the time of day your cat is most activated, which for many cats is early morning and early evening, the same windows when birds are most active. Let them complete the sequence. Let them catch the thing. A cat who gets to hunt, even in miniature, even with a feather on a string, is a calmer and more contented animal. The window still interests them, but it doesn't consume them. 6. The sound is a privilege to witness. I want to end with something that often gets lost in the laughing and the filming and the sharing. That sound your cat makes at the window is one of the rarest things you will ever see in a domestic animal. It is an unfiltered, unperformed, completely authentic expression of what they are at the deepest level. There is no version of that sound that is for you. They're not doing it to amuse you or communicate with you or get anything from you. They've forgotten, in that moment, that you're even in the room. Most of what your cat does around you is, to some degree, shaped by your presence. The way they meow, the way they approach you, the way they perform their routines in proximity to yours. All of it exists in relationship to you. The chirp at the window doesn't. It belongs entirely to them, to the part of them that existed before houses and windows and the relationship between cats and humans that reshaped both species over thousands of years. When you watch your cat chatter at a bird, you are watching something true, something unedited, a small, clear view of the animal your cat actually is, when nothing about their environment requires them to be anything else. That's not ridiculous. That's extraordinary. And it's happening in your living room every time a bird lands in the right place, for free.